It is 6:30. This is the Enfield Planning Board on January 22nd. At 6:30. We are in the DPW conference room and also on the Microsoft Teams platform. Members present from my left.
Eric Russell.
Dan Tiley.
I'm David Fract.
Bill Vermeer.
Tim Jennings.
Nate Miller.
Kurt Bartholtz, alternates.
Bill Griffin, alternate. Staff.
Staff Rob Taylor.
Whitney Banker, alternate.
Okay,
Don't forget.
and on Teams.
Linda Jones.
Okay, welcome all, welcome guests. If you haven't signed in, there's a clipboard on that table. We would appreciate your signing in. So first order of business. Now, before that, we will introduce Nate Miller, who is our newest member. Nate has been here before in a couple of different capacities. But just give us your quick elevator pitch. Tell us a little about yourself and,
So, Nate Miller. I live on Methodist Hill Road here in Enfield. I'm a professional planner by trade and have been for about 20 years now. I work now in the southern part of the state, but some of you may remember me from, there was a period of time when Jim Taylor moved from planning to public works and before Scott Osgood was hired as town planner. And that year and a half, close to 2 year period, I was the circuit rider planner for the town of Enfield. So I actually worked in Rob's office. Now I shared it with Phil Neely at the time and essentially acted as the acting town planner. So I for quite a while sat on this side of the table. It'll be a fun experience to sit on this side of the table, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you on all of what's happening because there's a lot going on right now in the town of Enfield. So,
And one thing you
there
failed,
is.
yes? You're the husband of Rita.
I am the husband of Rita. Yes,
Former member of this board.
yes, yeah.
Who did an excellent job, and you're going to have to try to top her.
It will be impossible to try to top her, but I'll try to do her justice.
Rita is also a professional planner for the Two Rivers.
Yes, she works in Woodstock, Vermont, for the Two Rivers Ottaquechee Regional Commission. So she works for 30 towns in eastern Vermont. Very rural region. A lot of her towns are very, very, light population, but have a lot going on there as well.
Okay,
So welcome aboard. We're looking forward to having you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
so first we have public hearing P 25-01-01, Liberty Utilities. We'll give a presentation and related hearing will be held regarding, regarding an application from Liberty Utilities to cut vegetation on the following scenic roads in Enfield: Lock Haven, Oak Hill, Ivy, and Kluge. Who's here from Liberty?
My name is Heather Green. I'm an assistant arborist, and I also have with me Richard Clark, who's my consultant.
Okay, well, welcome, Heather.
We're here to talk about maintenance. We cyclical maintenance every so many years. And in Enfield, we're doing the 7L2 this year, which comprises most of what Enfield is. So we're gonna be doing a lot of maintenance. And then on the scenic roads, we do have some work, so that's why we're here today. The maintenance that we do is cyclical maintenance. Is we try to clear a corridor of 8 foot to the side, 15 foot over, and 10 foot below. At a minimum, that is what the PUC 30710 rule is. For best practices, we actually try to flat cut or mow underneath the wires where we can. In some cases, we just prune back the trees, and other cases, we try to keep that new growth from coming in the future so that we have less energy to expend later. And to keep the energy of the vegetation to grow up from behind. So what we have for you, and in our scenic roads, we do mark trees really lightly, and since I started in 2018, we've done very few removals. It's just been the piece that's been cut in the budget pretty regularly is the removals. But this year, the regulators have asked us to do a significant amount of removals, so you are the lucky town. We get to actually do some removals and so on that note, I will talk to Jim and Jeremy, see how we can line up some other removals that are not on the scenic road. But for the scenic road, we've only got about 11 trees. There's definitely more than 11 out there that could come down and should come down, but we just picked 11 of the highest potential for us, dead, declining trees. So they're at the bottom. So we did a lot of pruning and flat cutting, which you just scrolled through, which isn't necessarily a huge concern of this meeting. But here are those 8 trees of those, sorry, 11 trees. Of those, there's one large white pine on Cluj Road, but everything else is not very substantial in my view. And then trees are defined as, by the RSA 15 inches in circumference, or for us, brush is considered up to 4.5 inches in diameter. So we do cut the brush everywhere else. But we've identified some rules. And that one that says Esterbrook actually got tagged wrong. It's actually 66. So that's what we're here today, is to ask for the ability to remove these trees, provided that the adjacent landowner also provides provides consent. That's also still, as always with anything else, they provide consent to do that work. And so it's these 11 trees or so. And usually for the past couple times I've been here, I feel like I usually say, here's my list of trees I'd like to remove. I'd like them on a wish list. I probably can't do them this year. I can do them next, but I feel pretty confident that these will be done in the next month and a half or 2 months.
Who's your contractor?
Asplund?
So they've already been working.
Yes.
Here.
Yep, they just haven't been on the scenic roads, but they have been working.
Yep, they're parked here. They're
Yep.
using our space.
Yep.
And hopefully I went over everything. So any questions?
Questions from board members? Bert?
Do you, this, I know, because there's one on my road, because I had to have the poles put in, hub 6, what's now hub 66.
Okay.
They had to, when Fast Road was at the time, and I don't know, at least on my road, it was Fast Road at the time, they had to put in their own telephone poles because there was a gap on 190 Road. So
Okay.
coming from Lock Haven, the telephone poles stopped at one point, and then the telephones coming up from South Road stopped. And my house happened to be right in the middle. And so they added, for telephones, they added a few poles from the South Road side, but it still left a gap from the Lock Haven side, which is where Hub 66 came in.
Okay.
So they put in their own poles. I was wondering, and I'm assuming there's probably other places in town where that also happens, either on scenic roads or any other road in town. And I was wondering if you ever talk to them and see if you can coordinate the trimming, since you contract the contractor. I mean, obviously they would pay for their poles, but if the truck is there doing the work on that road, to me, it would make sense business wise.
So, the assets that we have on the poles, the Hub 66 is communication. And then there are several poles in town that are only communication that are not electric. So we don't adjust that because it's not our assets.
Yeah.
So, but where we do have our assets, we maintain it. So if there's primary there, we clear to our spec. If there's
Right,
secondary
right.
there, we clear to our spec. But if we don't have primary or secondary, we
Yeah, I'm just
don't.
wondering, as a business, do you ever consider contacting Hub 66 and saying, look, we're gonna be, the truck that we contract is gonna be out there on this road. Are you interested in doing your own separate contracts?
We have a very difficult time with most communication and vegetation cooperation on the poles. So they're not responding to our regular day-to-day maintenance. I don't expect, and we constantly call them on things for vegetation. Like that would be a really good idea to be preventative, but that's not the place that they're in. They're not in preventative maintenance mode. They're more, their threshold for risk is much higher than ours.
Yeah.
So they usually, we
Okay.
call them on trees that are laying on it and they leave them
Yeah,
there,
I'm
so.
only bringing it up because I personally have poles that only have 66 poles. And, you know, this vegetation,
Kurt, I'd be happy to virtually introduce you to their chief technology officer at Hub 66.
Yeah.
You could reach out to him and say, hey,
yeah.
it's an opportunity for you.
I'm just thinking in terms of save everybody a lot of it.
Send you an email with their
Yeah,
contact.
appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Tim?
Could you just summarize what the planning board's role is in this process?
We basically have to approve because it's work on a scenic road.
What criteria did
We use the criteria that the utility establishes for their safety and clearance and maintenance of service needs, which was already explained.
PUC has input too, right?
Yes, the PUC gives us that minimum corridor, that 15, 8, and 10, that's provided I get consent from the local boards and the landowners, that's the corridor that they want us to achieve.
It's part of the RSA's on scenic road maintenance.
Yeah, Tim, I can help you a little bit. The scenic road laws of the state require us, we had to put 2 notices in the Valley News. As basically, we're not notifying the butters, we're notifying the whole town essentially. And anybody that lives on these 4 impacted roads are notified via the notices of our meeting, which we post on the internet and at a couple of different locations, plus the Valley News. So anybody that comes, and I'm assuming we have somebody here interested, you here for the scenic roads?
I am.
Right there. So people that have any concerns, like, I don't want you to cut the tree in front of my house, or I want you to cut more trees in front of my house. They can come and weigh in, and obviously that's kind of the extent of it. It's basically it's sort of a noticing policy.
Okay, any other questions or comments from board members? Hearing none? Oh, Nate?
Just, you talked a little bit about best practices that you employ. Can you tell us a little bit more about the types of practices, particularly with like pruning, for instance? Do you prune to the branch bark collar? Do you leave laterals that might be viable? What are some of the practices, in terms of when you're out there pruning, what can folks expect?
So we try to follow the ANCA 300 pruning standards, which takes it back to the branch collar, no more than 2/3 of the diameter back. So we try to use that professional guidance for making those cuts. However, sometimes you have to put that's the science part of it. And sometimes there's an art part of it. And each of our arborists they have their different artist techniques. Some people like a little more, a little less, so we will not necessarily make it to that branch bark color. So we might have a stub here or there because that's what we've been asked to do, or that's what we've done in the past. But we try to get that clearance for safety first and foremost, and we work with the tree to find the best places to make those cuts so that the response of the tree growth is the best that scientifically we know will happen. And then we also work with the aesthetics of that landowner. And as everyone know, everyone thinks has difference of opinion on what is beautiful. And there's definitely lots of opinions of what's a good pruning job or what's for them. So we do have a lot of that. So we send out a mailer. I'm sorry, I don't have it with me, but we do send a mailer out and say, if you'd like a consult, give us a call and we'll consult, and we can do less or more. We don't have to have that boxy corridor. We can sometimes take a little more, a little bit less, based on what that person wants, but we have to have that
So
conversation.
you have the conversation with each of the landowners.
So we send that notice out and we say, hey, we're coming to we're gonna do some pruning, so we're gonna do some work at your property. Do you consent?
Yeah.
And then they have a QR code that they can respond or send in a letter. So sorry, I didn't bring them. I don't know, I wasn't thinking.
I got 2 of them.
I will attest,
I
they
do
do
too.
respond.
I got one as well.
I got one too.
And the fine
Okay.
print says if you don't respond, they're gonna do it anyway in 45 days.
Exactly, yeah, it's that right on front in
Yeah,
red.
yeah, it's a-
But the landowner can have some input about
Absolutely.
how the
Absolutely,
pruning,
yes.
I mean, aesthetically, what they want to see
Yeah.
with the pruning,
Yep.
yeah. As long as it meets your needs from a utility maintenance perspective.
Yes, there are some cases where I might have a refusal or it's not basically work acceptable to us, and we'll look for easements if we have them, or I'll come to you or the select board or the fire department and say, I need some help here to get a little more clearance than the landowner wants. So I don't have to go to that route too often. Usually, Richard and I can work with or the Asplin representative can work, and we can do a little less or a little more, and make that work. It's very much per landowner.
Okay.
What about the private drives that have, the lines, the poles going down and, trees?
Okay, so that 8 foot, is for the primary. A lot of times down your driveways, it's secondary. So the clearance for the corridor on a secondary is 18 inches.
Mhm.
So it's just kind of a little bit. We don't flat cut there and we don't do tree removals there. However, we can, de-energize the line so that the landowner can maintain their property in a safe manner. And that's what we're charged with, is making sure that you can maintain your property in a safe manner. So in that case, if we can schedule de-energize so that you can
Okay.
get your contractor in to do your work, we'll definitely do that, but we don't do a lot of work on that. And then from the last pole to your house, we usually don't touch it unless it's pushing it out of alignment. That's the only time we do anything. There isn't preventative maintenance with that.
It's good, because I had trees on my driveway that are dying. And I was like, I'm not touching that 2 oak tree.
Yeah, so, and so we don't have the priority and risk management to be able to go down every driveway and take down, all dead trees. However, we do have the ability to help you. You say, hey, I'm gonna be out with my chainsaw today, or, in 2 days, and can we schedule disconnect, or I'm gonna hire so-and-so. And we'll de-energize it. And that's what we did for my house not too long ago. I'm like, de-energize it. I have a contractor coming
Okay.
down my driveway.
Okay.
And take care of it, and now you can work it safe. We can't always remove all the wires, because we
Right.
can remove our electric wire, but we can't remove the communication wire.
Yeah.
So it can't always be, for a full takedown per se, but we can
Yeah.
definitely make it safer.
Okay, thank you.
And at any time you can call. If you have any tree work near lines, give us a call. And if we can assist with sometimes we can prune away a little bit to make it safe for your contractor, clear that 10 foot. So your contractor can do the rest of the work, or, we can disconnect or things like that. So if you have one, just give us a call at any time. We'll let you know what we can do, what threshold we're at. That's probably one of our most common calls.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments from board members? From the public? Anything you'd like to? Just a second, Stephen. Can you state your name for the record, please? State your name, please.
Jean Rickard. I'm at 222 Lock Haven.
Thanks, Gene.
Anyway, I have trouble with my trees. People talk about the scenic road because you drive by and you see all these beautiful trees. Well, I've got a bunch of white pines. And some of them they die out sometimes. And they're an awful pain in the butt to clean up after them every year. There's cones and needles and everything all over the place. And I mean, I can't do so much as I did. I'm 90 and I live there alone. And sometimes somebody will maybe give me a hand, but I don't think it's that scenic. Do you consider all these pine trees scenic?
Yes, so not the whole Lock Haven is scenic, it's just a part of it, right? Isn't it the middle part?
That sounds
Yeah,
right.
and so I want to say 222 is not scenic.
Don't believe so.
So I don't believe it's scenic in front of your home. But if we can take your information, we can have someone consult with you and let you know what we can or cannot do for yours.
But it's, I mean, I've talked to Liberty and, they left a note in my mailbox.
Okay.
To get back to them about their pruning and trimming trees, and they didn't check the trees, but I had a dead one down by the road. Just about all dead. I had to have it taken down. I couldn't,
Yeah, there's a lot of dead trees out there.
I know, at these white pines, and I didn't want it to go across my driveway and take the lines down. And I figured, well, if I leave it, it probably will go that way. But it may go onto the town road and across, take the transformer out across the road. But I had a good friend that put it down. I said that I did put it on the ground, that's all I need to have it done right now. I don't need to mow the lawn right now, and when I do, I'll mow around it. It's on my lawn.
And so for your request, when people do ask us to remove trees, we triage it. Just as if we went to an emergency room and we think about all, we have $10 to remove trees. And where's the best use of that $10? Your ratepayer money, where's the best place to put that $10? And so we look at that and what is the risk of that consequence of that tree? And what are the number of customers that are impacted? And what's the probability of that tree fall? Freaking fall 360. What
Well, the saw was
probability of
leaning
it fall?
one way, but it would take it onto the driveway. So this friend of mine, he's a tree man. He took it down and he laid it on the ground parallel with the road, sort of. But it's on my side of the wall, so it's not in the road. And, but it's a nice white pine or a opinion.
White
It's not
pine,
just that, it's so much to clean up every year.
yeah,
Okay, so you'll send somebody out to look at it for her?
absolutely.
Fantastic.
The tree is down, so it's not gonna go anywhere, not
Okay.
unless you take it away. You're welcome to it. It's been-
Nobody wants white pine.
It's still turned.
Celia, you had a question or a
Yes.
comment?
Well, I thought there were a lot of new people here, so what I did was prepare, give everybody a copy of the RSAs that refer to tree cutting and so on and so forth. So you can pass that around. I did write, okay. Bear with me. I'm the guru of
Yep,
scenic road.
yes, I'm familiar, see.
So, so anyway, there are several RSAs that refer to the cutting in the town and the effect of what a scenic road does. And so what I really want to talk about is that because of so much time has lapsed, and there's a new board, and I know things are getting more, what can you say? More needed, or I don't really know. But what I wanted to tell you was that we had a policy before. And part of that was we had to, the trees had to be marked that were gonna be cut down. And they had a string around them. And there was a 15 inch diameter, which is really like 6-7 inches to the size of the tree. They have to go from that up. They can't go from that down unless it's little brush, because I know they have to do that too. They know me, they come and ask me, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, all the scenic roads, my big concerns were that we do not drop trees on the stone walls or branches and leave them there. And the other thing is that when the trees are chipped, it's not good to throw them on the stone walls because they just turn into dirt in a long time. Wrong, and I'd like to have that kind of thing, practice. So, I think that's really all I got for. And I just I couldn't hear you half the
Oh,
time
I'm
because
sorry.
that thing's running, so I can't hear anyway, but,
Get cold and you're quick.
I'm just assuming you continue as you usually do. I know you don't really go in like they do, like at the beginning of Decatur Road and they're at the other end on Route 4.
When they did the construction, the new.
I don't know what they did
It
at
was a
both
new
sides. They cleared it like 10
Cleared it out.
feet way out
That's
like
not,
that.
not at all what we're.
But the point is that we really try, that we have the scenic roads because of dirt roads and they're scenic and people use them. And there's lots of, sometimes you might have, I did it my old farm, I had a family of raccoons living in this huge, over 100-year-old maple tree. And it lived in a hole that went all the way down, so you knew that tree was gonna go one of these days. But they, they wouldn't cut it till that family is gone. You know, but by that time, the tree fell anyway, and it fell on my land, so you guys didn't have to do anything, and I still have it sitting out there in the field. So that's really what I wanted to do, just give you that and tell you what we did at one time. And that, I love how you guys come in and do this, but I really, just give it special attention to, to the area. Because some of them are near, I know it's a lot with the trees, but if let's say something fell, we can still go out and get them. Then you let our own crew, like in a storm,
Mhm.
and you guys weren't available, or, we still can go help with a tree that's, hazardous and has gone down,
Right, yeah.
so anyway, that's my speech. And that's what it
Okay,
is.
thank you, Sealy. Are there any more questions or comments from public? Hearing none, I close the public hearing on the tree removal. Rob, what do we do? A resolution?
I think a motion.
A motion? Dan, want to make a
Sure.
motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the Liberty Utility Plan for maintenance and removal of trees on the scenic highways, on the scenic roads.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Because Linda is remote, we have to do a roll call. Linda, we'll start with you. How do you vote? I think you said aye. We couldn't hear you.
He's muted.
You mute.
Linda, you're muted, but we'll take that. Linda? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, there you go.
I'm sorry.
Eric, yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Bill? Tim?
Yes.
Nate? Chair votes yes.
Thank you so much.
Your plan is approved.
Thank you so much. I
Watch
appreciate your
those
time.
stone walls.
We will watch them all.
We'll get you an approval document. He'll
I'll sign it.
pump it out.
You'll write it, I'll sign it? Okay.
Yeah.
Eric has to leave in like 2 minutes, so I want to get his select board report in.
Yeah, I've got 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah, we can do that now. We had a long meeting last night. Things that we went through. So one thing that I'm sure this board will be a part of, as it's discussed this year, the Conservation Commission, and I know Kurt's part of that, has been discussing potentially proposing some class 6 road changes to trails. So that would be something that would hit quite a few boards around town as that discussion happens.
I haven't seen the situation.
The budget report, people have been watching those meetings, the
I'm sorry.
general fund budgets proposed at a plus 2% this year. The building projects are going well. Whitney Hall, they're moving in. They should be open for business next week, I think it is. Which will be great. And then, have a large business session. The Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission came to ask whether we were interested in what's called a community resilience building workshop, which is something that's hosted by them, volunteers and the Nature Conservancy. And it's largely around the new risks associated with changing weather. So the large storm events and stuff. So there's no cost to the town. So we said we'll support doing that. That'd be a good thing. It would also tie directly into some of the zoning things we're trying to figure out is around stormwater management. The Energy Committee talked through 2 warrant articles, one for establishing an Enfield rate for power, and the other one would create a community power capital reserve fund. So what they're proposing to the town is to basically add a couple tenths of a cent per kilowatt hour onto the power rate, which would then be put into a fund that could be used for conservation projects in town. And then we reviewed the whole town, well, the preliminary warrant, sort of article by article. And then it was, just, although the Mascoma Lakeside Park Committee came as well. We're sort of in the process of transitioning. That park is largely complete, moving into a maintenance phase as opposed to a construction phase. So that's gonna transition from being a formal town committee that has to, take minutes and warn meetings and do everything to a Friends of the Lakeside Park group over the next 9 months. So hopefully by, next fall, that committee will transition from being a formal town committee to being a Friends of Mascoma Lakeside Park group. So, any questions?
Questions? No questions? Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. Yeah, I got 5
Appreciate
minutes
that.
before I have to.
Okay. I just wanted to
No, I
make sure
appreciate- I
that we
appreciate
got your,
Thank you. I apologize.
your
for having to
report
leave
in.
early.
Before we leave entirely the scenic road thing, can I make a comment or a request? So what Sealy handed us, be handy, and I was wondering if we could get a section, in the handbook, scenic roads, or we don't have it. And there's a section in here that talked about the town itself can make more restrictions, by a warrant article. Did we do that? Did we have that? Is it just?
I believe we've just implemented the state
Okay.
programs, the scenic roads.
But anyway, that would be my request if the rest of the board members want to see a little tab in here with this, and then next time we can flip it open.
Sure.
okay. Rob, want to give the land use,
Sure.
your report?
I guess the biggest news I would have for you guys is we did get a decision from the New Hampshire Superior Court in the Laramie Farms appeal. You guys remember that we had an appeal in the variances that were granted back in, I want to say approximately June, for building height in the principal buildings on a lot. Those were granted, and we had an appeal that was filed, and it went all the way to Superior Court, and the hearing for that case was held in November. And I think it was late last week, we got a decision, which I have in my office, if anybody would like to see it, or I'm happy to email it around if anybody wants a copy. The Superior Court basically upheld the decision of the ZBA and dismissed the appeal. I'm not sure that there is a possibility it could go to the Supreme Court. That's the next option for the appellants. So we'll see what happens there. ZBA met, the day before your meeting last week, and they did also, uphold their original, granting of special exception for wetlands crossing from another abutter or two abutters. And so they now have a 30-day window where they can appeal that decision to the Superior Court or to the Housing Appeals Board. We'll see, what they decide. If they decide to go, we'll let you know on that. Laramie Farms will be in to see you guys at some point in the not so distant future, I believe. I have been talking to the developers. Obviously, the next big step for them is site plan review with you guys. They will be in, I would say within 6 months. Any question?
How about the DOT with that access under Route 4 off that steep hill?
It's very interesting. I keep saying that to the developer when he calls me. I said, how you coming with the DOT? And,
Yeah.
cause as we've discussed on other projects, that seems to be sort of a big hinge point. They seem to think they're in pretty good shape and they're sort of on a glide path towards getting the DOT on board. We shall see. The town is certainly interested because it would affect us. The access road goes right up to where our water tower is. There's some hope that, obviously it'll improve our access right now that, they can't, it's not a road we plow. So they have to kind of hike up there in the snow and check things. And we have a SCADA system up there that's monitoring the level of the water in the tank that is solar powered. So it's reporting on a cellular modem to us so that we can see how much water is in that tank. It would be nice at some point, if they do this development, that they would give us electrical access. Because we would like to install a couple of systems up there to help us. There's one big thing that it needs is essentially a mixing system to be able to mix that water. What happens in that tank is you get sort of temperature stratification where the water doesn't move enough. So you have, the warm water rises and the cold water sinks. And so we think that someday that would absolutely help us to be able to put in some kind of an agitation, some kind of a little mixing system. But, yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. We do have a transfer. Somebody's got a question? Sharon, you got a question?
Sharon,
You're on mute, Sharon.
Sharon, you're muted. Sharon, you are muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, start
Hi there.
over, please.
Thank you very much. Just point of information, I've talked to somebody who's been talking to the DOT about Laramie Farms, and DOT told them that Laramie Farms has not contacted them whatsoever. So that's just point of information. That was a week ago.
It's a long pole. Is that access to the Route 4 on that steep slope?
That's interesting.
Linda, you got a question?
I'm the person she talked to. And I went to the DOT. I called them in Concord. They have no records whatsoever of anyone contacting them from Laramie Farms. And they said it would have to go to the office over by Whaleback, the exit 16 office. So I did. And I talked to the engineers there. They surveyed their other guys there doing it and checked their records, and they have had no contact with any of the names that have been brought before us.
Well, that is very interesting information. And all I can say is I'm quite certain that Rob has informed them that they need to be working with DOT, and the responsibility for that is on the applicant, not on the planning board. Or the town. We don't lead developers
No.
by the hand to every step that they have to do.
Yep.
So again, very interesting information.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will also say, the piece of land that was the Hawthorns on Route 4, just above the Enfield garage,
Mhm.
that has recently sold. I talked to the new owner there. There's potential of something big happening there as well. As you guys know, that's in our vicinity of sewer and water. Right now, it's definitely on water. Sewer is within 50 feet across the street at Jake's Car Wash.
Mhm.
There's possibility, actually, the previous owner, Mr. Hawthorne, had a proposed development done about 15 years ago. I've seen the conceptual on that. It was for about 50,000 square feet of mixed use. Get ready. We'll probably see something there. We'll definitely, it's obviously land that right now is just being bush hogged. It's a little single family home there. That one presents some challenges for the town. As you guys know, the Oak Grove Cemetery Road drops down there, is in tough shape. It's a town road.
Yeah.
It's right up above a very sort of tight bend in the Mascoma River. We've had some sloughing off of material on that road. I think we actually have one lane closed on that road. And it's sort of hanging over our head as to what we can do to fix it and so forth. But So we're in some discussions about that with Public Works and town manager and so forth, so we'll keep you guys abreast of that. You may have heard it at the selectmen's meeting last night. We've got a bunch of zoning enforcement action going on this time of year. People can see, geez, look at all those junk cars over there at so-and-so's house. So I've got at least 3 illegal junkyard zoning enforcement letters out. I am happy to report that one of them has come to fruition, that we actually got the junk cars removed, and the neighbor that was complaining is very happy. We also have a very tough one going on King James Road with essentially an illegal tenement building going on there. It's a single family home with 10 individual renters. Police department, the health officer and myself are working together collectively. It has become a very tough situation. The police department has responded 33 times in the last 6 months to that location. We're having loose dogs, fights, noise, all kinds of stuff. So we're going after them with everything we got in terms of zoning, health, you name it, septic system. So we're working on that. That's a big one. If you guys know of any more, I've got another big one up on Lock Haven. Like I said, this time of year is probably the best because, you know, the vegetation is gone and we don't have a lot of snow cover either. So people can see, obviously the state law is you can only have one unregistered vehicle that's not suitable for use on the road. You can't just register, it has to be inspectable, all that kind of stuff. So, and that's just a constant thing. It tends to ebb and flow. And, you know, I think it's maybe a little bit of a byproduct of the housing crisis that we're in and so forth, but working on that. If you guys have any complaints or any places that you're like, hey, what about this one? Add it to the list. It's, you know, once we get the complaint and we drive around, I've actually been around with the Enfield Police Department. If we find them ourselves, we'll go right at them. But of course, you know, neighbors' complaints we take a lot of those and obviously put a lot of importance on that. It's not fair to a person that's keeping their land tidy. Because I mean, this is a property tax state. So if somebody next door to you is drawing down your value, they're actually doing financial damage to you with, you know, unsightly mess on their property. It's not just cars, it could be lots of trash, garbage. That one drives me crazy because we have free curbside pickup. We provide you a container, we come and take it away for free. We have a transfer station that's open 3 days a week. You can bring the garbage down. There's just really no excuse for anybody to have garbage piling up around their house. In my hometown, you can kind of understand it a little more because we charge you for trash. So people are like, I don't have the money to throw my trash away. Well, you can maybe understand that a little bit more. In Enfield, there's really no excuse for garbage. So we definitely take that very seriously. Our building and health officer, Vinnie Tercy, who works in my department, has been excellent. If he gets a complaint or if he's made aware of anything, go right at him, you know, jump at him, shout off the side of the road. That's another frustration of ours. People are like, yeah, here's a free couch. And after it pours or, you know, rains and snows, nobody's taking the couch, right? So get the couch out of here. So, working on that kind of stuff. I was gonna give you a couple more things. Let's see. Recording Mylars and things like that at the registry, get some things going there. Still getting lots of calls. I mean, it's funny. The holidays definitely quieted down, but after we get through that and the new year changes, calls. People are like, what can I do with my property? What can I do here? So there's a lot of sort of speculative stuff happening again in town. That certainly has ticked up. I would say the real estate market is still good. So, you know, the houses are not sitting on the market very long for sure. And there's not a lot of inventory. You talk to anybody in the real estate business, they're just desperate for stuff to sell. We did get some bad news. As you guys all know, the Gasano's location in Enfield has closed. That place is for sale. I had an individual in today to see me, said he wanted to buy it, made an offer and it wasn't accepted. So there's going back and forth. We may see something happen there. The brewery, been in contact with the brewer. He closes at the end of this month on the purchase of that property. He does need to come back to ZBA for a little bit more relief. He wants to put a external walk-in cooler. It's gonna be a setback issue. And maybe a little bit more. I'm sorry that Eric has walked off because we're gonna need some select board support on that probably. But that's the moral of the story is the brewer is feeling really good about how Enfield is being supportive to try to help him as much as we can. I mean, obviously we can't do everything we can, but he has been very happy and he's very excited to be hopefully opening by Memorial Day in Enfield in the downtown. Haven't heard anything on the guy in the coffee shop, but we'll keep you abreast of that. The Whitney Hall project is near absolute completion. And the town office staff moved in there this week. The offices are closed to the public. But we've been in there and helping them. Highway guys have been helping. Library has moved in. Was it 100 boxes or something? It was a lot of boxes for them. I think it also was a good opportunity for upstairs and downstairs to weed out stuff that they didn't need. There's a lot of stuff that went in the dumpster. So that's always a good thing. That's sort of the one good thing about moving. I think anybody can say is when you move, you're like, why do we need to move that another time? So that we've been able to sort of hoe it out. No, it's not without its stress. I think there's a high amount of stress down there, but we're helping as much as we can. Public Works has been absolutely kicking it. They've been working their tails off. We had almost a perfecta with holidays. Every holiday in the last 3 months, they've had to do overtime. They've had to come in and work. Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, even Martin Luther King Day, we had snow. So they're working really, really hard and it's, it's an uphill battle. And it's literally and figuratively uphill battle. We're struggling against the elements, the cold, the snow, the ice. And the thing about it is, Jim will tell you, the 1-inch storm is just as much work as the 10-inch storm. Because you have to go out just like you would for the big storm and you have to put out the same amount of product, the road salt and sand. So they've been real busy, but they've been doing a great job and they're also very short staffed now. We were down a couple of guys in the highway crew. About it for me. Anybody have any questions? Tim?
Rob, you sent out the summary of the building permits for the year.
Yep.
Is there anything about that you can provide in terms of a commentary? That kind of.
Thing I would say, from the building inspector is definitely, and we put that in our master plan, the solar permits continue to be elevated from, historic numbers. I think there's a lot of solar coming online in Enfield. We've got trackers, we have roof mount, we've got all the different kinds. So that's kind of neat to see. He's been very busy. The building inspection and permitting so far this year already is coming in pretty aggressively. A lot of mini splits. That's sort of a trend. That's the, heat pumps, high efficiency. Seeing a lot of that. David's got one in his house. You got 2 of them. People are very happy with those. And it seems like they've really figured out how to make those work even in really cold temperatures. I was talking to David today about that. 20 below 0 and they're still blowing heat. So that's a impressive thing. I know in Plainfield, we put them in our town offices. We put them, we did them. Our new town offices and library have heat pumps and mini splits. So that's really cool. And I think people are realizing the value of those things because they work at the highest level of efficiency out there and nobody else can touch them in terms of heating technologies and cooling technologies. And again, that double benefit of having not just heat, but cool. And then the other really awesome thing, especially for the library, is dehumidification. When the library is open in the summer, you don't want moisture in the library because all those books are going to absorb that moisture and get musty and sort of, even potentially mold. So when we did it in Plainfield, that was a huge benefit of going to the mini splits. And we had a library in Plainfield at 4 different heating systems in one building. And so we were able to rip all those old things out and go with all mini splits, but that's some of the trends.
Any net increase in housing units?
Yep. It was 12 net. I think it was something like 21 total, but of course, when somebody pulls out a mobile home or manufactured home and replaces it, that's a 0 for us. goes on as a building permit and shows up on the 21, but in the net it's 12. That's about average for the last 2 or 3 years, I would say. Obviously, you know, we've got some big stuff coming and throw all of the numbers way off if those actually come to fruition. Certainly could be transformative, but otherwise trends. Somebody's got a question?
Sharon has a question.
Sharon, do you still have a question, or Dave?
Actually, it's Dave Buffet, for minutes purposes. Is the pub owner this same individual or company that has been in the news down in the southern part of the state regarding problems with their employee management of employee benefits and the brewery down there? I hope not.
No, nope, it's not. You're talking about the brewery.
Right, the ones that weren't paying Social Security or doing anything else and are in big trouble.
Nope, that's not him. Nope.
Good.
He does have an alternate location in Bow that is coming online. It's not open yet. It's gonna be just basically a tasting room. That they're gonna make the beer in Enfield and it'll be available for sampling, and I think it's gonna be pizza in Bow. And then he also had a little pop-up location for beer and snacks in Sunapee Harbor in the what was called the Anchorage. That he had last summer. The Anchorage is gonna be retrofitted and reopen as a restaurant again. So he lost that location, but he did find a second location, another spot in Sunapee Harbor to have a tasting room down there. I guess it was a huge success. I mean, that's a great spot to be in the summer, sampling ice cold beer. So he's excited about that. He's most excited about Enfield. I think that's the moral of the story there.
That's really, if we certainly did not need another problem business.
Yes. Yeah. Any other questions? Nate?
When District 2 gets a driveway permit application for anything, any new curb cut on a state road, any change of use, any new development proposal, do they notify the town?
That's a great point. I don't get much communication from that at all.
Once upon a time, they used to send the driveway permit applications to the town, just as an FYI,
As a courtesy, yeah.
as a courtesy.
I'll reach out to, so it's a local guy, Chris Turgeon.
Yep.
I think he lives on, is he on Klug? Yep. I'll reach out and just be like, hey, and actually I have a friend that works there too, a guy named Ross Wood, who's a neighbor was a neighbor in Plainfield. I'll just touch base and say, hey, are you still,
Yeah, might be, if they're not doing that, it might be worth.
Now, other departments in the state are really good about it, like, the firearms, we get, people, anytime there's a license, I guess that's not state, that's federal, it's ATF. But, State of New Hampshire Department of Safety, if somebody's trying to do a automobile repair shop or inspection station or transportation, we did have one on, Sargent Street. People had applied for a transport license for automobile dealing. And he said, that's not an approved business there. We don't support that. So that's good that they do that kind of stuff. I would think that like I said, the DOT would be well versed to give us.
Yeah,
notes.
maybe something worth
Yeah.
talking to Chris about.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him. I do see him at TAC, it's the Transportation Advisory.
Is Dick Jones still on the tech?
He is.
Say hi to him for me.
Yeah, he's been on that forever,
He
hasn't he?
has been on a long time, yeah.
Anything else?
Okay, Celie, did I see your hand up about
Well, I
5
did,
minutes
but
ago?
I was gonna speak to the court report from, regarding the ZBA thing.
I think we can go back to that and let you have your say.
Excuse me. When I read the court report and, basically I was shocked how this attorney made these decisions. I was shocked, but it doesn't affect this, doesn't affect that. Said, well, something's wrong with this. I said, but what's going on? So I did a little research, and what I found out, this Superior Court is really the housing authority. It was, and now it's the Superior Court.
Oh, there's still two. Yeah.
There's still
Yep.
two,
Yep, yeah.
and the attorney was on the housing
When
authority.
you say attorney, you mean judge.
Nunu appointed him as a judge
Right.
this past year. So I'm still, I want to really read the court of record, because it just, I'm just blown away by the acceptance of some of these things that, you know, that's in this general purpose, and if they're gonna affect anybody, you know, it's. So anyway, I wanted to let you know it was a housing authority, and they tend to be very lenient and let it go.
You mean,
That's what I
you talking
hear.
about the Housing Appeals Board?
Yeah. No, so what's
Not the Housing
happened?
Authority.
So yeah, so what she's referring to, I can clarify a little bit. So there is a special docket now at the
Land use
Hillsborough
docket.
North. Right, that's it. No, that's it.
And
And
it's
she is correct.
Mike Class.
The judge class is a former member of the Housing Appeals Board.
Right.
Right. He's now the presiding judge in the land use docket at Hillsborough North, Chestnut Street down there. Right. Yeah.
Kurt?
I had a question on the notification for the public hearings we had on the warrant articles.
Yep.
I was, after the fact, I was reading through the RSAs and the notification requirements. And it turns out, which is, must have been added at some points, I don't know when, I wasn't aware of it, that if a zoning district in the, let me just read it, if a proposed amendment to a zoning ordinance would change the boundary of a zoning district, and the change would affect 100 or fewer properties, notice of public hearing on the amendment shall be sent by first-class mail to the owners of each affected property. And it also applies to changing the minimum lot sizes or the permitted use in the zoning district that includes 100 or fewer properties, same thing, direct notification by first-class mail. Now, the warrant article, one of the warrant articles was to basically eliminate the Route 4 district. So that's changing the boundaries of the Route 4 district. And I wonder if there's less than 100 properties in that district.
I would think so.
That's why it's reviewed by legal.
Yeah.
We don't know if they address.
No, it says, the RSA says, and the change would affect 100 or fewer properties. Notice of a public hearing on the amendment shall be sent by first-class mail to the owners of each affected property. So they need to receive a direct mailing
If there's less than 100.
if there's 100 or less.
Right. And I did count them after having the conversation with you.
Yeah,
And it's not 100, it's probably like 60.
yeah, I mean, that's what I thought, because just looking at the boundaries, it was like, that's not a really big district.
No. No.
So I don't know what we do there.
Yeah, it's up to you guys. What I mean, we did not send notice to any of them. We did run it by the attorney, as you know, he did not say anything about that.
But he might not, well,
We didn't ask the question.
I think, yeah, I think we probably should have that question reviewed by an attorney.
Happy to.
That'd be my recommendation.
What's our deadline for holding another hearing?
February
Half.
3rd. But we don't have, yeah, we can't notice anybody.
Because you can't notice it.
We don't have time to notice them.
So worst case, we might have to pull those.
You have
two
to pull it.
Worst case. Yep, worst
Well,
case.
why don't we get advice from the town attorney?
Yeah.
And whatever he says,
We'll go with it.
we'll go with it. If we improperly noticed it, then we'll withdraw. Anything else? Okay. Next is the legislative update. It's going to be very interesting, to say the least. We have, in municipal and county, we are going to be executing a bill that sort of, allows towns to collect fees in lieu of taxes for recreational vehicles that are parked permanently or at least on April 1st at campgrounds. And how that's gonna work, nobody really knows. I don't think it's gonna make it out of committee. There's a bill in the housing committee, the new housing committee, which, I read it about a week ago. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me now, but basically it would, base zoning on surrounding density. So if I had a lot, I would take a 1,000-foot radius, figure out the average density, and I could put whatever structure I wanted to, that would, allow me that average density. Interesting concept. And I think I've described it correctly. Which, I mean, it's kind of like, you can build anything that you want, you know, if you're in a neighborhood of single family, 1 and 2 story houses, and across the street or around the corner, you've got some high rises. You can put up a 6-story tower to get that density. I don't know where that will go. Couple of bills that we're having hearings on tomorrow. One is called the Partners in Housing Program. It's a low interest loan and grant program under the Housing Champions Fund to assist municipalities, counties, and developers in building workforce housing. And as I understand it, and I am a co-sponsor on it, it includes both loans, low interest loans, and grant, and it's basically kind of a revolving fund. Also, a loan forgiveness program for low-income homeowners to build new ADUs or renovate existing structures into ADUs. So we have public hearings on those two tomorrow. Another bill would create a county registry of monthly rent charged by landlords for each owned unit and prohibit landlords from using algorithms or software to determine rental rates. And another bill, relative to prohibiting corporations from purchasing single-family homes for a certain amount of time. So that's what's going on in Concord. I will update you at our next meeting. Okay, next, let's take a look at minutes from December 18. Any questions or comments on December 18's minutes? Somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the December 18th minutes as printed.
Do I hear a second?
Am I allowed to second?
Of course you are.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Bill, were you here on the 18th of December?
No.
No,
I
okay.
was- No. It's not.
Whitney, you were here.
I was.
You are elevated to a voting member.
Okay.
For the,
Can't replace Eric with.
Can't replace.
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Can't replace
Okay.
Eric.
Eric is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
I forgot. Okay, so roll call vote, starting with Linda. How do you vote?
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
Phil,
Abstain.
Tim,
Yes.
Nate,
Abstain. I wasn't a member at the time, so I'll
you can
abstain.
abstain. And I vote yes. What's the tally?
4-2, well, 4-0-2.
402, okay. 4 is a quorum, so
Majority of who was there, so.
I think we are approved as submitted.
Yep.
All right, next, January 15.
Sorry, guys, I don't have them ready yet.
What's the other one that we had?
That's it.
That would be it.
That's just two, that was last week.
Okay.
Table.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
make a
table
motion, we
those.
table the minutes for the next meeting.
All right. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Phil beat you to it. I'm sorry, Linda, but
Okay.
you can vote. How do you vote? The table.
I vote to table.
Okay,
Yes.
Dan,
Table, yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Nate,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
all right. January 15 minutes are tabled till our next meeting. Next is our, contractor selection. And hopefully everybody has read the document that Rob circulated, which are the responses from the 3 contractors from our RFQ round. And we still have Resilience interested in bidding on the project. So I'm not quite sure how we should, go about making our selection. Would I evaluate different contractors or vendors, from my own personal perspective? Sometimes I just, put down the pluses and minuses for everyone on a piece of paper or on the whiteboard, whatever we want to do, and see if that lends any clarity to it. So, Rob, can you maybe be scribe on the whiteboard?
Hey, we haven't gotten anything from Resilience yet,
Not in writing.
not in writing, but they are indicating they're interested.
They're indicating they are interested. And,
I didn't get that impression reading the email that was attached, but I guess now that I've just reread it, I didn't get the impression that they weren't interested either, but they were kind of like, yeah, we don't think this budget works with the
Well,
scope.
yeah.
And, you need to sort that out with whoever you choose to work with.
yeah,
So what is the actual budget now?
the actual budget is 32,000 for zoning and 5,000 for site plan. Have I got that number right, Rob?
37 change, don't you say? Total, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it supposed to be 2.1 grant or 2.0? It's 2.0.
this is 2.1. 2.0 was when we thought we could get up to 100,000.
Right. Well, I'm
And,
calling it a hop two. I mean, it's the second round.
yeah, it's the second round.
2.1 was our own sort of internal.
Proposal, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a proposal.
so
You want for categories for these guys here. Experience.
Experience, geographic closeness, knowledge of the town. Staff,
Potential for long-term, within, how to word, but tied to the, potential money sources, in the long term.
how do you mean?
Well, short of getting grants, it's gonna be tax dollars.
Yeah,
And grants always have the strings attached. Tax dollars are hard to get. So it's a matter of, the private ones are always gonna be more expensive than the regional planning commission. Just as what you bang for the buck, I guess bang for the buck.
okay, bang for the buck.
Yeah, trying to, how to phrase it.
Right.
That's a good category.
How do you get the most for the least?
Yeah.
Because you basically said we've gone from 80,000 to 30,000. What can we get that was in the 80,000 that we're not gonna be able to get now that it's 30,000?
Yeah.
As you guys probably saw, we did see from her, originally she was proposing a sort of joint operation. Yeah. What's Alex Valenza's firm?
SE Group.
SE Group. She did say in the email that she,
Right,
you
yeah,
have the reduced rate. she
Right.
would be doing
Yeah,
it.
that's-
She's gonna-
Yeah, that's what I mean, it's,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, another category I think would be quality. And, another one would be rating their interviews, since we've all had an opportunity to, look at the videos, maybe Nate didn't.
I did actually watch. I had previously watched Ivy Van and Carol
Mhm.
and Judy Barrett and Alex. And then on my way home from work, I did listen through my car radio to the Upper Valley ones. I have not. I don't know that I feel particularly confident in being able to evaluate resilience. I did not see an interview of theirs. I don't know. You know, so I don't know that I'd be able to judge them apples to apples with the other ones, because I think I have more information about the other three, you know,
Yeah,
than I do
Yeah.
about
yeah,
them.
all we got was what was that email,
Yeah, that's all we got.
that's what we got.
So I don't know.
And when they didn't even take the time to send a letter, they just called.
well, let's back up the trolley for just a second and fill Nate in. The board decided that we should send out to contractors, the potential planning contractors, a request for qualifications. And Upper Valley, Lake Sunapee, Ivy Van, and Judy Barrett responded. Resilience did not respond because we, perhaps I, thought that they would be the logical choice because they had worked on our top one grant. And we had I felt, good working relationship. They came in literally at the last minute after, PlaySense picked up and moved to New Zealand or wherever. And, 2020 hindsight, probably combining the master plan and the zoning public forum or public meeting into a single meeting was not the best idea. But given the timeline and the budget that they had to work with, I personally thought that they did a reasonable job. I know other members of the board disagree, and that's, that's fine. I can say that they did an excellent job on the 5 chapters of the master plan that we approved a week ago. So that's the history on that for your benefit. Lou.
David, there's two questions online.
2 questions online, okay. Let's take Linda first.
After, just a minute, let me take my hand down. After listening to the videos that the people sent, I felt one rose to the top, and that was Ivy, and I can't remember her partner's name, but I felt that she had energy. She had done this for years. She had helped a range of towns in New England, and I felt that she would do best for us. I didn't feel that way about someone in Colorado, and I guess I didn't have as much confidence in Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning as, I don't know, that although they have a lot of bright people, they don't always stay there long, and I didn't feel they had the depth that Ivy and her partner had. So that's my 2 cents.
David, did you have a comment or question?
I do. And it's just a process comment. If you did not get an application from Resilience, and given their past experience, which I feel differently than you do, I would say I would not consider them. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment.
Second, throw out my 2 cents. I think, Linda, you're referring to the 2 older women that came together as a team.
Yeah.
That's Ivy Van.
And Carol.
Levine. Okay. I had a similar impression that energy and enthusiasm. You said, you're the kind of town I really love working for. I just felt, I liked what her presentation on that. And I'd asked her, I believe, if she had a model zoning ordinance that she, just for the structure of the ordinance, not the particulars about districts and what have you. And I think she did. Whereas that same question with Resilience way back when we were working with them, didn't offer anything for us on that. I felt like Resilience, very smart people. They made some good products for us, but they just made some tactical errors that I didn't appreciate in the way they presented some material. So I've had less good thoughts about working with them since that experience. And so, and Judy Barrett, they probably do a great job. And then as far as the Upper Valley, they might be the best bang for the buck, if that was the main criteria. Just thinking that they have a certain measure of work they have to do for the town anyway, and I don't know how all that works, but they know the town well, and lots of pluses there. So there you have it. There's my 2 cents. I'm not sure what that helps me make up my mind or not, but I've said it.
Phil, your opinions?
Yeah, I agree. I like the Ivy Van because they think outside the box a little bit. looking through their proposal, for Newmarket, they did the form-based zoning, which is a whole new concept. But they've worked through all that and they've got experience with that. And I think the town of Enfield should look at something kind of out of the box thinking when it comes to zoning in this town. So anything we can do to get, affordable housing in the town and keep our younger population in town. I'm looking for somebody that's got experience in that capability. So I'm agreeing on them.
Okay, Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I'm hung up between Upper Valley Lake Sunapee and Ivy Van. I think Resilience did do some good work, but I agree with Tim. They made some blunders. They made some major blunders, and major blunders were when we're dealing with the public. In that presentation at the community building. Because they were putting down stuff that they said was fait accompli that wasn't even in the working stages, I guess I would say. And I think that got us on the wrong side of the public early on. And we had to clean up some messes. And I guess the problem I got now with Judy Barrett is half of the group she was using isn't going to be there anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's her
And
local person
right.
is the one who's not gonna be.
It's not gonna be
working
there.
with them.
Right.
So we're gonna be 100% remote with
Well, I
that.
may have people mixed up here. Which one's based out of Massachusetts?
Judy Barrett.
Judy
It's
Barrett,
in the South Shore.
Ivy Van's out of Peterborough.
right,
Okay.
yeah,
Then I'm not.
you're not, no,
Okay,
A few different thoughts here. First, on our list of criteria, I would advise us not to consider proximity as one of the criteria. Just because I know in our procurement processes, the state, generally anytime we're using state or federal funds in a procurement process, they tell us that we're not supposed to consider the location of a consultant's office as part of the selection criteria. So I would just advise that we strike proximity for that reason. In general, as it relates to the four candidates, again, I don't think I have anything to offer on Resilience. I didn't see an interview with them. I haven't read a proposal from them. The only thing I've seen from them is an email that is, I would describe as lukewarm at best in terms of their level of interest in the project. So I personally don't consider them a contender here. Judy Barrett and Alex Belenz, according to the email, Alex is no longer part of the team. Alex is excellent. I know Alex, and he's a very capable planner, and I think not having him as part of the team is a loss.
Yeah,
On
definitely.
multiple fronts for
Definitely.
that, for that proposal. Ivy Van and Carol Ogilvy, I have worked with Carol Ogilvy in the past. I haven't worked directly with Ivy in the past, but I've worked with Carol Ogilvy. She's very competent, very easy to work with. I have nothing but good experiences working with Carol. Like I said, I've never worked with Ivy before. Ivy, as far as I know, based on her presentations at conferences, is very involved in the Congress for New Urbanism. She is going to be, big on infill development, form-based codes, all things that have potential applicability in Enfield, but I've never worked with her directly.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to say, I don't know most of the current staff at the Regional Planning Commission. I know Megan and Vicky and Chris Portamanch, and I don't know that I know any of the current planners. I will say that I listened to the interview. I thought you guys asked her pretty tough questions, honestly, about staff turnover and, experience, and I thought she handled those questions reasonably well, for being kind of put on the spot. It seemed like she's the point person, that she has been doing housing related work for a couple of years in some of the Lake Sunapee area communities. So she, you know, there wasn't no experience there. She certainly had housing specific experience for a couple of years. And for me, you know, you know, it's between the Regional Planning Commission and Ivy Van and Carol Ogilvy. And so interested in hearing what others have to say, but just based on, you know, coming in with a fresh perspective and having listened to these interviews fresh, that's where
No, that's good.
my mind goes.
And I think the point there is Ivy Van and Ogilvy are gonna be there in 2 years.
That's right.
I'm not sure about the ones at the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee because they move real quick. It's like somebody gets a job as a circuit rider and all of a sudden they're working for the town that they're the circuit rider in. And the same thing is, I mean, it's happened more than once. 2 or 3 real good planners have moved out of there and gone to towns
And I'm just looking,
and gone quickly.
they're listing their people and one showed up in 2024, another one showed up in 2023.
Yeah.
Another one showed up in 2021. So a lot of their staff is.
It's a
just
young
there.
staff.
Yeah, just there.
But they still may be very
It's all
capable.
right,
I was at the
exactly.
select board meeting last night
Right.
in the audience and they had one of the younger Upper Valley staff and
Right.
she was articulate and did a good job explaining her proposal to the select board and got people on board with the idea of having a resilience forum. So, you know, they're,
It'd be interesting to see where they came from.
yeah.
Right, I mean, they've been picked up by private firms. and
You know,
towns.
Nate, they're fighting for grants all the time.
Sure.
They have to live on grants.
Hear from, Kurt?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, basically, resilience is a non-starter for me because they're unwilling to even to submit stuff.
No, they
Yeah,
weren't asked.
I think the initial proposal in December went out to, in September, whatever it was, went out to everybody.
Oh, okay.
And then,
Okay, you're right.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
and then December, when the budget numbers was reduced, we sent a second one out. And we got that email saying, well, those numbers don't look very good to us, essentially. And then with the Barrett's, she lost half her project team. And it sounds like they work as a pair. So make sure they share, you know, each has their specialty and she lose half her specialty for the project, and that's, I don't think we'll get the end product that we want. So I'm back down to like everybody else, it seems, like Sunapee, the Regional Planning Commission and Ivy Van. And I'm leaning towards the Regional Planning Commission because for a long-term future projects, after this grant expires, if we come up with some more money, some from somewhere, I think it'll just have a longer, get more bang for the buck, basically, because they could work a little bit less than a private contractor would. Put in more hours than a private contractor would be willing to do. And if these people, yes, there's high turnover rates, but if they're being picked up by private contractors or towns, means that they know what they're doing. You know, they're not flunking out, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
And going to some completely another field. They're continuing they're going private versus public. They're getting the experience, the resume is looking good, and then they get hired by somebody else. So they have the knowledge and I think they would be willing to do more for us to make their resume look better also.
Bill?
We appreciated it. Nate would comment on our safety. Their billing rates would be less and that we might get more hours out of them.
So I think we know that for a fact.
I think it's generally a pretty good assumption. You know, it depends on who's being assigned to the project and what their billing rates are, but I don't have a proposal in front of me, but I would That's what I would expect if I were to open the two proposals side by side.
Of course, the proposals we got were from the original possibility of 97,000 or whatever it is, but I do have, let's see here. Here. This is their proposal. Megan Butts, it's a cover letter. They do outline the scope of work, and I'm obviously just brushing through it here for you, but work and timeline, fees. There's their consultant budget. Again, this is when we were assuming we were gonna get a 90-something thousand. Hop to corporate background,
Yeah.
8 full-time staff.
If you look at the resumes on the staff, they don't have a lot of zoning planning experience. Some of them are plum green. Whereas Ivy's got a whole listing of zoning projects they've worked. That's my concern.
I think Renee would be sort of our point person. She was the one that-
She was the one at the interview.
Yeah. But we did, we recently worked with Tim on that Main Street thing that we did maybe a couple months ago.
Found that to be. Oh,
Yeah. I'm looking for people that have written zoning plans for towns, people that got experience. And Ivy's got a half a dozen that they've
Oh, yeah.
actually wrote the zoning regs, where these guys have no experience in writing zoning stuff.
we hadn't heard from Bill yet.
Yeah, I agree with Barrett kind of being in last place, losing half of their staff for what we wanted. As far as resilience, I was on the end of going to the events back when they had them. And they didn't really have any support from me at that point of things. And just the handling of things since doesn't seem like they're that interested to me either. I like Ivy and Carol. I think they can bring a lot to the table, especially with the writings that they've already done. I'm kind of at a spot with Upper Valley. I think they could be and have been kind of a good partner for the town already in different ways. And I could see growing better with them long-term than maybe with Ivy and Carol. And we said not to figure proximity, but that there is an advantage with that. It's between those two for me.
Okay. Whitney, any thoughts?
No new ones. I would agree that between Ivy Van and RPC, personally, my preference would be RPC. Just because I think similar to what Kurt was saying, that they might kind of really surprise us or offer us a little bit more. Being that they're appear less experienced, I guess, but neutral either way. I think I would be happy with either of them.
Okay. I just want to throw in a couple of more comments. Of the interviews, I thought Judy Barrett and her company did the best interview. But the fact that they have lost half of their, well, not half of their staff, but the partnership with SE is not going to happen on this project. That's a big negative for me. Ivy and Carol, something about their interview just didn't sit right with me, and I can't, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it, but they just seem too giggly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like they were playing off each other.
Yeah, and I don't know, and maybe either Rob or Nate might have some insight. It seemed like they had put together their partnership just for the purpose of this project. Do we know that they work together regularly or?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I don't think this would be the first time they've worked together, but I don't think they work together exclusively, if that makes sense. Like, I think Carol does a number of things My organization, we hired Carol a couple of years ago, and, just, to help out with one particular project. And she did a fine job.
Yeah.
A number of but my towns, when they're in need of circuit rider assistance, will, hire Carol to come in and help out.
Mhm.
So I think she does. Carol, I have more experience with. I
Yeah.
think does a number of different things and probably finds herself more busy as a consultant in retirement than,
Right.
that she might have,
Yeah.
originally expected. But I think she and Ivy go back a long ways from the Peterborough area, and Ivy, I think they've worked together before, but yeah, like I said, don't exclusively work together.
Mhm.
That's my sense.
There's also, who do you think the townspeople are gonna be more receptive to? As far as between the two, what they, I don't know, I feel Upper Valley would have that advantage in my eyes. Yeah, one see more local. Yeah, one of my concerns was with RVE and even with the Bartlett was seem to be, I just got the impression that they were more southern New Hampshire, Western Mass, style of planning. Which is very different than central northern New
Yeah,
Hampshire.
yeah.
Just the neighborhoods are different. I mean, it's a very different type of neighborhood when you go there.
Yeah, I mean, what they did, I think their example was Newmarket or
Yeah.
Newington.
Newmarket.
Which they called, form-based light, quote,
Yeah.
end quote.
Mhm.
And, that kind of thing very well may go over and may be needed, south of Concord, basically. And, north of Concord is a whole different animal.
Right, I mean, the core part of town, yes, but 75% of the town is more rural,
Yeah,
and we're doing a town-wide.
Well, keep in mind,
but we're not going town-wide because we have to narrow
Yeah,
the scope of work. And what I put in the grant application is, let's try to narrow down and concentrate on the areas of town that have sewer and water, which is Route 4 and Route 4A, and see how much, we can get done on one or possibly both of those two areas.
at some point,
Because they're after housing.
at some point, we should talk about afresh, the plan or the outline of what we think we can get done between now and time required for public hearings, prep for the 26th town meeting. And also how we think we might have to sell the ordinance and that sort of thing. I think that may help us understand the reduced scope and the focus that we're gonna need to have. I don't want to do that now, of course, but
Right.
we do need to do that. But you're absolutely right. It's very narrow from where we were.
Yeah,
okay,
we've got a third of the funds and, that cuts down the scope of work significantly.
I'll be limited to for core downtown, middle on 4A where it's denser already.
Half the way up Shaker Hill Road, half the way, that whole area there would be a part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Can I just make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
If the goal is the goal to come to a decision tonight?
We'd like to.
If
I
if
would
that
like
is
to.
the goal, I would suggest that we complete the matrix on the whiteboard and somehow come to consensus on quote unquote scoring or evaluation.
Yeah.
I just think, having that as backup documentation in case any one of these proposers comes back and questions, how we arrived at
well,
the
I mean, it's
decision
not
or
like,
something like that. It's good to have documentation for how and why we arrived at the decision.
So I think the consensus is that we take resilience out of the mix. Is that?
yeah,
Yes.
and Judy Barrett too. I
Judy
mean, I
Barrett,
didn't hear anybody say.
I think so too, because with the Judy Barrett, the one she lost, I'd rather have than her.
Yeah,
Sorry. The same thing with Ivy Van almost. I'd rather have Carroll than Ivy. If I was to pick, I would rather have Carroll than Ivy, but
Well, we're
they
gonna,
come as a package.
The reasoning here for taking resilience off, just for, and correct me if I'm wrong in this assumption, but just for, documentation and transparency purposes, the reason resilience is being taken off is because they did not submit a proposal and did not participate in an interview and otherwise expressed minimal interest in the project in general. So we're considering them to be non-responsive, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're not going to score Judy Barrett, the reason we're not going to score Judy Barrett is because her proposal changed so significantly
Right.
with the loss of Alex Belenz and SE
Right.
Group as a
Right.
partner that we no longer consider that to be
Right.
a viable proposal.
Right.
Is that a fair?
Yeah.
assessment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But there's
Just want, just for,
on the matrix, there's a loss of quality because you've lost, as far as I'm concerned, the stronger person.
Okay,
we'll make sure we get that down in the minutes.
Right.
who's got it?
So do we want to do like, you each, do you want to go around, each of you vote on like a number here, or just check it? We sort of come to a consensus. You guys think that Ivy Van is more experienced than Lake Sunapee?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
say yes.
Yes.
okay, why don't we put, check marks for each of us? I think
Yes.
that way we can document, so
Okay,
Yes.
experience.
Experiences I
these guys,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you two,
me too.
me too.
check.
Don't forget Lynn.
Me too.
Linda says yes.
yes,
Nate says yes.
Yes.
Kurt, Bill,
So.
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
So Ivy Vance has it on experience.
How about knowledge?
Same.
Same thing.
Probably,
no, I'm
I
gonna be different here, and I'm gonna say Upper Valley. And it's not because Ivy Van or Carol Ogilvy is not knowledgeable. Both are very knowledgeable. But with the Regional Planning Commission, you have 8 full-time staff across many different disciplines.
Yeah.
Disciplines that, may be beneficial to the project, that may not be areas where Ivy or Carol has particular experience.
And it's
For that
local
reason,
knowledge.
I'm going to.
It's local knowledge.
They know the town,
Upper Valley.
right, they know the town.
Okay, so we're defining knowledge as knowledge of the area.
Want to,
Well,
any way you want.
knowledge of everything.
Okay,
Any way you want.
Give it to me. Any way you want.
I'll say, Upper Valley.
Nate, would
I'll go with Ivy.
would you expect Upper Valley to, if they had particular item of our zoning ordinance they were considering and they wanted to get some other opinions, do you guys reach out to one another?
Oh, yeah, sure.
All
That happens all the time. And they have a very good knowledge. Even with younger staff, they have a very good library and a very good knowledge of what communities, at least in their 27 towns, are doing. And beyond that, they have a network of other colleagues around the state that, do you guys,
Yeah,
do this or that, or,
Mhm.
so yes, I guess in short is the answer.
Already put Nate down,
Yes,
You want-
Upper Valley,
okay,
Upper Valley.
okay, Whitney,
Upper Valley.
Linda,
Ivy,
Okay.
Okay,
all right, staff.
Staff's Upper Valley.
mm,
it
yeah,
was Jane. Linda said yes.
Yeah. Linda,
Ivy.
yes.
Ivy. Staff? Who do you support?
Upper.
Valley.
I think, yeah,
To your point, they got 8 people.
Upper Valley has 8 people to draw
got more.
on with a diversity of
I would say
experience.
Upper Valley also.
Upper. Linda, who do you like for staff?
She said Upper Valley,
She did?
I think.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
I was first instead of last.
that's
Okay,
right.
bang for the buck.
Upper Valley.
Okay.
Upper Valley,
Ivy.
I think Upper Valley.
Upper Valley.
Upper Valley,
Bill?
Upper Valley.
maybe on an individual level.
Linda, who do you think's the biggest bang for the buck?
Just
Oh, I don't want to say it, but Upper Valley. If you guys want to get a bargain, you're gonna get the bargain. I just kind of wanted a little class in this.
You can put their name to.
Dan, quality?
Ivy Van.
Just to prove themselves.
Quality?
Ivy Van.
Ivy.
I don't really have any way to judge that criteria.
Bing?
Yeah.
Look at their experience.
I will go with Ivy and Carol on this one.
Yeah. And because of Carol, because of Ivy. Yeah,
Rob,
I'm gonna
Ivy
defer
and
to
Carol.
yeah.
Okay.
I
You're going
can't.
with
go
Ivy?
with
It was
Ivy.
a toss up, but I think they convinced me to go for Ivy.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Last but not least, the interview. Dan?
Probably Upper Valley because they got harder questions and they were able to answer them because they knew what we were gonna ask.
I go with Upper Valley because I was not impressed with Ivy and Carol's interview.
I have to abstain because I wasn't here for the interviews.
I was
Well-
not here for the interviews, but I watched them all online. And
Yeah.
I felt that Ivy and Carol did a great job of thinking outside the box and, I
That
don't
your
know.
vote?
That's my vote.
I would agree with that one.
Ivy?
Ivy, yeah.
Oh, this is a tough one. It's hard to, let me just think through it here. Cause I wasn't in person for any of these. I watched them all online as well. Upper Valley got harder questions from the board than Ivy and Carol did. And the Renee responded to those,
And she faced the whole board where the Ivy Van was just the three of us, right? It was just a small group. Yeah.
and Ivy and Carol gave good tangible examples in response to some of the questions. So I think probably content wise, Ivy and Carol did more in their interview than Upper Valley, but Upper Valley got harder questions and it rolled well with it. I will go with Ivy and Carol based on content, but that one was the toughest one for me. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, because I
They're
haven't
like
watched,
neck and
I haven't
neck.
watched them for a while and I wasn't thinking in terms of quality of the interview. But my gut is to go with Upper Valley.
Bill?
Upper Valley.
Whitney?
Same.
Linda?
Didn't I already vote?
She already voted.
You can't vote twice, Linda.
Yeah, she did.
So I would take that as a win for Upper Valley.
Well, let's count up.
Let's count up the check marks. Count up the check marks.
So let's see here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23.
This comes out of split lines.
It's close.
It is close.
It is close.
What if it's a tie?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27.
27, 20.
All right.
That's close.
I guess we go with Upper Valley.
That's close.
The reason I think I feel comfortable with that is that it goes back to the bang for the buck issue for me, I guess. It's that, when we've got a really tight budget and a lot to do, I think we'll get more work product out of Upper Valley. That's how I'm justifying it.
Okay,
So,
so
need a motion.
let's have a motion.
Make a motion that we direct Dave and Rob to, negotiate with Upper Valley Lake Sunapee to be our consultant for the for the hot.
International House Paper.
For the Hop 2 grant program.
Do I have a second on
Could
Tim's
you, could
motion?
you add one thing?
Sure.
Bring it to the select board. Because they're the ones that have to approve any.
Well, they need to bring it back to us first. Do they?
No,
No,
No, yeah,
They don't.
and to further solicit, approval from the select.
Approval from the select board.
no, nobody's seconding this?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay,
You're the full screen.
how did that happen? No, that's better. You've been reduced. Linda, how do you vote on the motion?
Pardon, too many people are talking and I couldn't hear.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table, which has been seconded, which directs Rob and myself to negotiate with Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission to be our Hop 2 contractor and to seek approval for same from the select board.
I
Even
vote
though-
aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Bill? Tim?
Aye.
Nate?
Aye.
Kurt, you're not voting because I appointed Bill.
No,
No,
can't
no,
vote.
the select board is gone.
we can't replace.
Oh, that's right, okay.
You can-
In that case, it's me. I vote yes.
Well,
So we're short.
we can get their advice.
Right, because Eric's not here.
yeah,
Where are you to vote?
they can't vote.
They can't vote. This is an official motion.
I
I know, but it's 1, 2, 3,
Linda.
4.
I can't vote, but I'm happy with the decision.
Thank you.
That's all.
All right.
Yeah.
How about you, Kurt? Are you
Yeah.
happy?
Yes.
All right, Kurt's happy. Motion carries. Good. We have gotten through this.
With 5 minutes to spare.
Yeah,
Right.
all right. Public comments. Celie, anything else on your mind? David Buffet, Sharon, they've gone.
They're gone.
Next meeting is February 12th,
3 weeks from tonight.
3 weeks from today.
Thanks, Sealy.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Dave, can I just ramble just for a second?
Yeah, we've got 7 minutes, so go ahead.
So we got 3 weeks. And we've got a big job ahead of us in the zoning ordinance. We've got some elements of it, at least in a very rough draft form. We have some committees set up that probably haven't done a lot of it. I know I certainly did. But I'm wondering if we shouldn't take advantage of this period of time to have a working session. Or somehow try to organize ourselves towards getting further along in the zoning ordinance, rather than just sit here for 3 weeks. Let another almost month go by.
How do people feel about that? You want to throw in an extra meeting or two?
It's the only way we're gonna get any progress done.
Yeah.
It's because it's not gonna be, I mean, just tonight we had nothing on the agenda. There were no public hearings other than the scenic road, which was pretty light. and it's still 2 hours.
And it could be the next meeting is chock full of hearings. We don't know.
Yeah.
I just think we could at least maybe talk, again, 30,000 foot view, the sorts of things we want to see in the new ordinance, not in details, but broad concepts.
I think that's a good idea, but I would qualify it that we have one or more people from Lake Sunapee in on the discussion so that they have a buy-in to what we're doing and, they may want to make some suggestions given budget. That's my thought. Bill,
Yeah, I agree. Sure. I wonder if we can get them in here in 2 weeks.
I'll bet we can.
That would help.
So you guys want to meet on the 5th of February?
There's
If we can get Lake Sunapee
Well,
here.
is there a community Thursday?
no
no,
budget
budgeting.
and select board meet
That's
together
right.
that night.
That's the big meeting.
Next Wednesday, that's free. Doesn't look like there's anything, it's kind of short notice though.
29th.
Even if we don't have a negotiated contract,
You don't
either
have.
them participating via Zoom or sending somebody over here to just listen to our conversation.
I'm thinking that they would probably, if we don't have a signed and sealed contract by then, which the select board's not gonna meet, so, we can do it without that. I would venture to say that they would not object to sending somebody. What would you think, Eddie?
They do in their email, part of it could be, refining the scope a little bit.
Yeah.
Clarifying expectations
Yeah.
for them because, with the budget changes kind
Yeah.
of down and up and,
Mhm.
and they do say that, we do want to further understand expectations for the public forum events as the funds are limited within the outreach scope. Maybe, that could be an opportunity on the 29th to have Upper Valley staff here and hash out the details of the scope, develop a plan of work, figure out what we want to do in terms of
Yeah.
next steps so that
Yeah.
the contract is airtight when it goes to the select board.
Yeah,
That might be one way of approaching it.
Yes.
I like that idea.
Set the date, then the agenda can be pieced
Instead of the
together.
29th, they can make it. Yes. But I wouldn't, yeah, I agree. I don't think we want to meet unless they can make it in some sort.
And we can have zoning discussion, the same time,
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, we can spend 2 hours talking about zoning.
Yeah, we can.
right, I mean, if they're not able to make it, it's unfortunate, but we at least can come up with our own ideas. Something on paper, something, some bullet points. on
What we see
paper.
as the new scope.
Right, and then
Yeah,
they, and they
What
can
are your
look at it.
priorities?
Right,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they can say
Yeah.
that's not gonna work, or that will
Right.
work.
I suspect they'll be able to make it. It's the 5th Wednesday of the month.
Right.
Very few standing meetings would be occurring on the
Right.
5th Wednesday of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and I would also suspect that if Rob reached out to them tomorrow, we could certainly have an answer by Friday, which gives us enough time to get an agenda together and post it.
This is gonna be welcome news for them and I'm sure they'll
They'll want to get.
I think so too.
And I will also send notes to all of the other
Yeah,
people, let them down easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
On timing, it looks like Monday, February 3rd is an open day because select board is bumped to Tuesday that week. So if next Wednesday doesn't work, that might be another thing.
okay, well, I tend to agree with Nate that,
They'll find
this is
somebody.
important enough that they will send someone.
I'm sure they'll figure out a way of getting.
Yeah,
Go for next Wednesday.
Also say,
Yeah, 29th.
Yeah.
Even if it's Chris that they sent.
I mean, it's possible that, they're all on vacation because it's the fifth Wednesday of the month, but, we can adjust after we talk to them, but let's count on
Another
the
day, 20
29th.
below zero, I'll be ready to go on vacation too.
Yeah.
Let's count on the 29th then.
All right, my plan on the 29th doesn't work. We can always push it to
When do you do it? We're doing that at 6:30?
February 3.
Yeah, or third, whatever that Monday.
February
is.
3rd.
Yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever their schedule.
You want a motion?
Of course.
I have a motion. I move we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Is Linda still with us?
Yes.
What do you mean still with you?
Well, I didn't see you. Rob had something up on the screen that didn't look like any of us. So, Linda,
yes,
this is a motion
let's
to
adjourn.
adjourn. Linda says yes. Dan,
Yes.
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Nate,
Yes.
Kurt. Oh, you can't vote.
Yeah.
All right, I vote yes. We're adjourned at 8:30,
Yes, on the.
right on the dot.
Hi, Linda.
And I feel like
Good night.
we've come.
Yeah.